to be making what's called Swedish meatballs. I've never actually made Swedish meatballs before. I always make Greek meatballs or I make Italian meatballs. I don't actually usually make Swedish meatballs. I don't know exactly why they're called Swedish. Maybe because they're Swedish. But what we start by doing, I'm doubling the recipe because my family is larger. This is just a serving for 6, and that just basically covers my kids and my husband. You might want to just, let's just leave that. We're gonna start by toasting breadcrumbs. So that's what we got. Oh my Lord. Okay, so as this is heating up, Cassini, I would like for you to do 1 full cup of breadcrumbs and put them in here. And you toast them so that they're toasted, right? Yeah. It spills a little bit, it's okay.
There.
All right, now dump it. Now we're going to toast it, so I'll spread it out. So this is what the breadcrumbs look like when we start roasting or toasting them. And you'll just continue to stir them as they get hotter until they turn, I guess, like a toasted color. While Rafi is stirring the breadcrumbs as they toast so that they don't burn, the recipe calls for diced onions. And so because we've doubled it, we have 2 onions here. And so we are going to dice the onions. What I normally do is I don't put a raw uncooked onion in my meatballs because my kids don't ever like it when there's like a bit of crunchy onion. I don't know why that happens with my meatballs. So I usually cook my onions beforehand, like before I put it in the meat. So we are going to dice these. What I normally do is I'll slice the top off like that. And then I will cut it down the middle. You got that? There you go. And then I peel the top layer back. So then I hold it like.
Ow!
So then I hold it like this. I use this, if there's more, I'll use this as like a handle. And I will just. And then I will slice it like this. You don't do it quickly, it starts to burn the eyes, which is probably why you always end up like looking like you're crying.
Well, I usually do it quickly. Ah! Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna die now.
Well, I hope not. And make sure to use your knuckles so you don't, I can't tell you how many times I've accidentally cut myself. And I use this part to wipe off that. The breadcrumbs are looking good.
There's some on the sides.
Okay. They're toasting really well. My eyes are on fire. All right, I think that's probably, you think that's done? Yeah? Okay. Okay, so this is what the breadcrumbs look like once they've toasted and they're continuing to toast. So they've turned a golden brown. And what I'll do is I'll put them aside. Rocky, can you get me a bowl? I'll put these aside into a bowl because what I do after the fact is I soak them in milk. All right, so we will put these in the bowl. We will finish chopping the onions and then we will go to the next step. Okay, so as we're continuing to cut the onions, I've already put them in the frying pan because I'm sauteing them to put them in my meatballs. You doing okay? Oh. We're gonna saute them and then we will let those cool before putting them on the meat because I don't want the meat to cook beforehand if I put really hot stuff. Okay, Rafi is sauteing the onions while I'm cleaning the space from the onions so that Cassini can stop crying. You doing okay? Yeah, did your eyes burn?
I can cry for it if you want.
So we're gonna continue to saute those and then we're going to, the recipe calls for 2.5 pounds of meat. They say to use pork. I don't use pork, so I'm going to use, beef. So we'll do 3 pounds. The recipe actually calls for 1.5 pounds. The recipe.
Move over.
Okay. So she kind of runs the show. So as I'm sauteing, she's going to do the other parts of the recipe.
Okay. So the recipe calls for 1 egg, but because we're doubling it, I'm going to use 2 eggs. I just crack them into the bowl.
Yeah, but you have to speak up so they can actually hear you.
And I'm going to crack them into the bowl. So I'm doing 1/2 teaspoon of nutmeg. So 1/4 teaspoon of allspice. 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder. 1 teaspoon of kosher salt, so I need salt first.
Yeah, and yeah. We use pink salt. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Wait. What? I think I messed up.
What?
I did half a teaspoon of garlic powder.
Okay, garlic's fine. No, garlic's fine. Don't
Okay,
worry.
okay.
Does it need more or did it need
I
less?
accidentally did not double it.
When you're sauteing onions, you know that they're done when they're a bit translucent. So I'm just waiting for them to translute. Translute? Is that even a word?
I don't know.
Okay.
Now I need half a teaspoon of pepper, which is here.
This is Raphael, by the way. He's our helper today. Okay, so this is pretty much sauteed. So I'm just gonna put these in a separate bowl so that they can cool, because I don't want to put them directly into the meat while they're hot. And then I'm going to finish the breadcrumbs. I soak breadcrumbs in milk.
The recipe calls for 1 cup of beef broth, but we're doubling it, so I'm doing 2. So, I don't like that smell.
Okay.
Okay, now I'm going to do 2 cans of cream of mushroom. It calls for 1 cup of cream of mushroom, but we're just doing the whole cans.
And what I'm doing is the recipe calls for 1/4 of a cup of milk, but I am going to use a 1/2 cup of milk because we're doing that on the recipe.
Looks great.
Wait, I'm gonna make sure that's the right thing to do.
Did you say you need 2 cans?
Hold on.
ASMR. Put that in.
Yeah. Hello?
Not going out. Oh.
Okay, this says add
Dude!
the milk, the eggs.
Come out, man.
Is it parsley? I don't see
Okay.
1 tablespoon of fresh
Well, if you
parsley.
cut out the cans
I
away.
don't have a tablespoon of fresh
Well,
parsley,
we'll
so
throw
we're
the
gonna
cans
do
and the lids away.
a teaspoon of dried parsley.
Now, I'm going to do 1/2 cup of sour cream, and the recipe calls for 1/4, and I have 1/4 of a cup here, so I'm just going to do 2 of these. We're going to do 2 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce.
I know it does.
Help me. Thank you. 2 tablespoons.
Okay. I'm putting the breadcrumbs in here after they've soaked with the milk.
1. 2. Oh man, I don't like the smell. So this is what our sauce looks like, and it looks more appetizing than it did when I first started mixing, which is a good thing.
Okay, so we have our 3, I'm just gonna tilt it. We have our 3 pounds of ground beef. We have our 2 eggs in here. We have our seasonings of nutmeg and salt and
Garlic powder.
Did we put pepper in here?
Yes.
Okay, we have
We
garlic
put-
powder,
Half a
all
teaspoon.
that. We have the egg. Rafi is going to use his hands and he's going to mix the whole thing. Okay, Cindy, move so he can move the stool closer because Rafi's not actually this tall. All right,
Yeah,
go
it's
ahead.
gonna be a
And your sister can do it, the rest. So while this is on, I am going to, it says it calls for some butter and olive oil, so I'm going to do that. The recipe calls for 2 tablespoons of butter, so I'm going to do 2 to start. And then if we need more after the fact, which we
There's a
probably
ring
won't.
in there. My ring.
This is the olive oil. This over here. What? That would have been awful. That would have been terrible.
I'm just mixing. He's like,
Okay. So this is gonna make 40 meatballs, or it's supposed to. So once she's done, I want the 2 of you to roll meatballs and put them on here, and then I will fry them. Okay?
Scoot over. How big do you want the meatballs, Mommy?
Well, it needs to make 40, so maybe the size of a walnut. So now we're frying the meatballs. That's what the recipe calls for. Normally I bake them, but when you bake them, they get this like funny, like the stuff comes out of them if they're a lower or a higher fat content, and these are a higher fat content. Guys, I'm totally talking.
You interrupted us.
I interrupted you.
Yeah.
But when I do that, they end up looking funny when they come out. So this recipe called for this. One time I did that and I made Greek meatballs and they tasted delicious. And my son's girlfriend, Kelly, came over and she was excited to have meatballs because who doesn't like meatballs? But then she saw them come out of the oven and she was like, you know, I'm good. And she would not try them.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Were they good?
Yeah, of course they're delicious. They just have that white stuff that comes out of them. I'm not sure what that is.
I always thought it was like cheese.
It's not cheese, no. Okay, so put the rest of the meatballs down here while I'm frying this, and then when we get through frying the meatballs, we will come back. Okay, so this is what the meatballs look like once they have fried. Some of them are falling apart, but I guess that's what happens, and you see the bigger chunks that Sandy did, which is okay. Here I have put meatballs in here with the paper towel underneath so it soaks up the oil. So I'm going to transfer all the meatballs into the colander here with the paper towel. And then once that's done, I'm going to transfer the sauce into here and cook the sauce. So now that the meatballs are out, we are going to transfer in the sauce. And then it says that you're going to cook this together. That's a lot of fat. Okay, whatever the recipe says. So if you're doing keto, I suppose this is the way to do it. Alrighty, so I'm gonna snap my fingers and it's gonna be done. So here you go. This is it. It's kind of turned to golden brown and it's all mixed together and probably super, super, super yummy because it kind of looks super yummy and smells super yummy. I'm going to ignore the fact that there was the fat in it. But of course that's probably good for me because I'm not eating carbs. Okay, so we are going to now make the pasta that goes into, that this will all go over. All right, so we have the water and it's boiling. And this is the pasta I'm putting in. It's called country pasta. It's egg pasta. I don't know why my scissors aren't in here. They're not, and I don't know why paper cutting craft scissors are in that drawer. Rivkah, craft cutting paper scissors don't go in that
I know,
drawer.
I didn't put them in there.
Well, somebody did over here. Okay, so we do need to season the water, so I'm gonna put a teaspoon of salt in, and then I'm going to just put the pasta like that. So all right, so that's in the water, and then we will strain it and pull it out, and we'll put the plate together, and it's like and then we'll show you. Okay, so these are our pasta noodles. I think this is how it's supposed to be done. We'll see. I put a little bit of butter in there because I don't want it to stick. So I'm gonna mix this with the butter so that they don't stick, because this is what everyone's having for lunch today or for dinner. Okay, so now I'm gonna make a plate and Cassini's going to try it and she's going to let us know how it went. Okay, so here we are. I don't have garnish. It is what it is, but Cassini, why don't you try it, taste it, whatever. Shove it all in, shove it all in. Blah, blah, blah. Nicely done. Nicely done. So is it good?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Can I try? No.
Yeah, you can try.
It's
You
my
didn't,
space.
you didn't want to be on camera.
I know. No,
So?
my space.
Oh, she doesn't want to share it. You can have some more done. Anyways, thank you everyone for watching. And next week we're going to make something for Passover. So this week is not Passover. This week is Feed Your Starving Children Day. So thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.